anymore. But, you know, Rishi Sunak claims he's going to introduce this emergency legislation for the boats to send people to Rwanda. Lee Anderson has said, oh, we should just ignore everything and just do it anyway. I mean, what do you think is going to happen as far as the next sort of week or so goes?
Oh, well, we know for a fact that they're going to put forward this whole concept of having a treaty. And once you have a treaty, essentially, and if sanctioned by Parliament perhaps as well, that essentially makes it far less likely that the courts will be able to intervene or will be willing to intervene. But I really want to say, you know, this whole discussion about Rwanda has taken up so many hours in the media in the last couple of days. It's a complete distraction. It's a huge distraction from the reality of...
It's not the real story, is it?
No, the real story, of course, is legal migration. Of course, where we have 1.2 million people coming, and as terrible as illegal migration is, it's legal migration that's affecting everyday people in their daily lives. But also, of course, I've for years been saying we should be focusing on having one of the British overseas territories, like the Ascension Island, as our offshore processing centre. If we were using the Ascension Island, we would immediately, overnight, eliminate all of the legal arguments that were raised by the Supreme Court, because we wouldn't be dealing with another country. It will be our own country doing it. Australia did this with Nauru, a small island 1,000 miles off the coast of Australia. If they could do it to great effect too, we should be able to do it here. We also need to be really serious. It's not that difficult to actually get control of this whole thing. You know, we need to do what a French politician said, which was essentially to make Britain less attractive than France. And you do that by cracking down on the black market, for example. It's so easy for illegal immigrants here to slip away into the underground economy of the curry houses and so forth. You don't get that in France
at all. Do you remember
there
was a bunch of people arrested on mopeds down in Brighton who were delivering food for various fast food companies and various, you know, food delivery companies? They were all illegal, every single one of them.
And we also need to empty all of the hotels, all of the private accommodation. We need to have, for those people who are already here, before they're processed and deported, we need to actually just have refugee camps. In the 1950s, you know, we had national service British guys living in Nissan huts. In the 21st century, with mod cons, we can very easily house refugees in those camps. We also actually need to finally take a grip of the fact that the Home Office is approving 75% of applications, compared 72%. It's 25% in France.
Well, they approve them because they take so long to do it. But we've seen so many different cases, haven't we, of people who just claim to be gay or claim to be under persecution of one kind or another. Nobody questions it. They just go, OK, just tick the box. You're in. That's the end of that.
But what we know, as you're going to be speaking to your next guest, I think, too, about the Home Office and how the Home Office is complicit in actually advancing a pro-migrant policy, we need to actually take the processing of applications out of the Home Office. And I don't know why no one else has called for this. We need to hire many more people to process the 170,000 backlog that we have. But that mustn't be done within the Home Office, because that's actually one of the root causes of the problem and of this very high application acceptance rate. And the other thing we need to do is we need to get the French to do what the Belgians do and intercept boats actually in the channel when they're in the water, rather than what they're doing now, which they say that they're not allowed to do. And if they won't do it, then we should send our chaps over to France and have them do it for them.
It doesn't sound complicated.
It's not difficult at all.
It really is not difficult at all, and I can't believe how ridiculous this situation has become. And you're absolutely right to say that the whole Rwanda thing is just a distraction, because that's not the story. Because even if it were the case that something would work, you'd still end up with 165,000 people who couldn't go because they can only take 500 at a time. So there we are. Rafe, really great to see you. Thank you so much for staying with us. Rafe Heydel-Mankoo.